Welcome into another week of 615 Preps Live, presented by Sellers Funeral Homes. Week number 4 upon us. Chris, along with Joe, Scott, Cam, and KJ tonight, going 5 wide with you. Hope you all got your rain gear ready. Mine's already ordered, so I should get it from Amazon tomorrow. Yeah, that's what we're facing tonight. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. Guys, how are we? Let's start with that.
For now.
Yeah, I'm doing okay for right now. Tried out from last week just in time to, well, hopefully I won't be getting too wet because I got a wedding on Friday night, so it's great.
I'm not okay. I'll never recover from Saturday. I'm sad.
You've already recovered, Joe. You got on the right colors on this fine Wednesday afternoon.
Well, as a lifelong Tennessee fan who's never seen his team lose to Northern Illinois, and KJ, that just took KJ out. He's gone.
Easy gone.
He just dropped right off.
No, I'm
He's had enough of it.
I'm all right. Not looking forward to the weather the next couple days, but outside of that, pretty good.
Yeah, welcome to the brotherhood, the fandom, the craziness that is being UT fan. I mean, yeah.
Why don't you say welcome to the bandwagon?
KJ, welcome back.
Even KJ couldn't take that hypocrisy.
He may have to jump off again if he keeps freezing. But no, Cam,
Great look though, right there.
Let's go back to yours, Cam, for just a second, because wait a minute, we got to address something. You said Friday night wedding.
That's right.
Should never be uttered in the fall.
It shouldn't. He is a unique individual, and he decided to get married on Friday the 13th. That was his mastermind behind that. So,
Yikes!
Yeah.
Yikes!
I don't know what that says to get married on the what is supposedly the unluckiest day of the year.
And it's supposed to rain too. I mean,
the venue does have an inside area, so I think we're going to be okay on that. But yeah.
But does it have a shelter if the tornado comes through?
I mean, we're just asking for all of it. I will say that the neatest thing I ever saw at a wedding, though, was the bride coming out to the Undertaker's theme.
Oh, wow.
We'll get that. Yeah, and she was more than fine with it because she watches wrestling too. So, it was pretty badass. But anyway, got a lot of football to talk about this week. Yeah, week 3 was a wet one, kind of surprised some people, namely us. Joe, you probably caught the worst of it over at Green Hill. At least for the worst of it for us.
Yeah, no, my clothes, until I went and did my laundry on Sunday, my clothes were still soaked. It was bad. Again, shout out to Isaac for carrying around the umbrella while I shot video. My phone took forever to charge because I did get some rain in the little port area, but once it dried out, I was good. But yeah, it was miserable. It was on the level of last year's 6A state championship game.
Yeah, I was across town at Mount Juliet, just 4 miles away, so I dealt with a lot of the same things. Didn't have a fan walk up and give me an umbrella, so I was stuck on the sideline in the rain. Don't think it was as torrential as it was at Green Hill, but it would rain for 20 minutes, and it would stop, and the wind would blow, and it would get real cold, and then it would decide to start raining again.
That's probably the one that got soaked out of anybody around here because they got it pretty bad up there at the beach.
They got in a delay, didn't they?
When Matt sent me that picture, I was just I felt so bad for him.
They had a true definition of being an island on Friday night. So
Yeah. We caught a hard shower in the second half, not nearly as bad as you guys. So we were a bit fortunate to avoid a lot of it, but it's water. It'll dry, hopefully. All right, let's get into some new fresh rankings, shall we? Let's start with our small class rankings, where we've got East Nashville number 1, East Robertson number 2, Gordonsville 3rd, Nashville Christian 4th, DCA 5th.
Yeah, East Nashville jumps up to number 1. East Robertson really struggled last week against Monterey. It was hard not to think that East Nashville overtakes East Robertson with the way the Eagles have played. They struggled week 1. They've really bounced back in a big way, just beating up on higher class teams. And Nashville Christian, I'm not going to punish them too much for going on the road and losing to a really good BGA team by a touchdown.
yeah, I mean, we preach results, right? East Nashville has found their stride. KJ Johnson so far through the first 3 weeks of the season is looking like a Mr. Football candidate. And East Robertson, I think by the time the end of the season gets here, I think that Monterey game is going to look better than it looks right now. But they're still reeling from the effects of losing a guy like Isaiah Groves. So the Indians still are probably the favorites, especially in our area in 2A, but they're still rebounding from that dramatic loss.
Go ahead and go on to medium class, where Page still holds that top spot. BGA jumped up.
Yep. We got a huge one, CPA BGA next week. It's massive. I mean, that could be a state. One of those teams could be playing for a gold ball in December. Macon County drops down a spot after the loss to Upperman by a single point. Page with another shutout win. So good win for Beach to get that win over a really good Riverdale team in that monsoon last week. But I just think the teams ahead of them are just a little bit more consistent.
And we've talked about Page as their defense. They've got Laverne tomorrow night now. A theme that we'll discuss here shortly. So, challenge for that defense is to try to stay unblemished in the points allowed column.
And that 2-1 spot right there, those two teams, they could swap it at some point, but they're the class. They are the class of the medium class. Although BGA is showing them their stuff this year.
Moving up to the large class, Oakland holds number 1, Ravenwood 2, Ensworth 3, Mount Juliet 4, and Antioch 5.
Yeah, no changes here. Oakland Antioch's a big game this week. Got to think Oakland's still the favorite, just history. Antioch, can they cover 49 points they lost by last year? I don't really think so, but I do think it'll be a closer game. Mount Juliet's kind of flexing on everybody right now. Really impressive win over Gallatin last week. Ensworth's beating up on teams, and Ravenwood got tested by a good Blackman team last week. So it's kind of Oakland until somebody knocks them off, right?
Yep. And one of those games that we'll be talking about shortly has a couple of teams in this group. So stay tuned for our picks here in a little bit. Speaking of picks, we got a pick player of the week presented by Sellers Funeral Homes, and a pretty impressive class of stats to go around with this group. Dion Barnes for Whites Creek, the freshman quarterback, has been just out of his mind in the last couple of weeks. A big win over Greenbrier, 17 of 29 passing, 315 yards and 5 touchdowns. They won 52-15. Thomas Bauchero for Brentwood Academy, 3 of 3 field goals, including a 59-yarder in that win at Christian Brothers, which I believe is the 4th longest in state history. Joe, I know you love that kind of stat.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
DCA's Mitchell Carey. DCA's Mitchell Carey, 17 of 31, 274 yards and 6 touchdown passes. Also ran for another score as the Wildcats beat the Tennessee Heat 56-21. Gordonsville's Bryson Grisham, he's off to a hot start, 123 yards, 4 touchdowns at 11 carries. Also returning kickoff for a touchdown in that shutout win at Trousdale County. Pearl Cones Javion Kennard, 4 touchdown runs, 250 rushing yards in their win over Creekwood. Caden Marable, 19 of 27 passing, 300 yards and a score. Ran 11 times for 104 yards and 2 more touchdowns in that win over Nashville Christian last week. And then Brentwood's Gavin Nelson, who had 88 yards rushing, 3 scores, 11 on 11 carries, had 4 catches for 91 yards and 2 more touchdowns in that win over Hendersonville 56-14. So the fans voted for Gavin Nelson. Pretty much a third of them did. Joe and Cam and myself voted for Deion Barnes. Joe, I'll give you the nod. Why Deion?
I just think you don't see a freshman putting up numbers like this, and especially over at Whites Creek, right? I mean, when's the last time the Cobras have been 2-0? I think they've just been great so far this year. That offense is clicking. They put up over 50 points in back-to-back games, and a lot of that has to do with Barnes, who I think is going to be a star here. So this was a hard pick. It was between Barnes and Kennard for me. I went with the young guy this time around.
Scott, I'm going to let you speak for Caden Marable.
Yeah, in a game where you absolutely had to bring your offense, he did. You had 2 of the top quarterbacks in the mid-state. Caden Marable not only showed up, but he was absolutely vital to them, to BGA maintaining their perfect record.
KJ, you have JV on Kennard. You can go ahead and defend that pick.
So Joe said he went with the younger guy. I went with the older guy. You know, the Firebirds, they started off a little rough within the first 2 games, and Javion, you know, took it upon himself, be a leader, and turn it around for them, help them get a big win.
Tyson's not here to speak for his pick, but I'm told we have a statement from him.
Yeah. So this is via Tyson Moody for his pick on his former teammate Gavin Nelson. No bias there. And Brentwood's 56-14 win over a very solid Hendersonville team. The Brentwood rushing attack seemed to have its way with the Commandos. Cannon Kinder was looking like Brentwood's power back on design quarterback runs, but more importantly, Gavin Nelson had 5 touchdowns and around 150 all-purpose yards, which doesn't seem like much, but very effective 150 yards. Of course, this wouldn't have been possible without the Brentwood line, who were very much on their game that night. Nelson excelled in receiving and running aspects, taking multiple screens or checkdowns all the way to the end zone. He's making me feel a lot better about my dark horse Mr. Football pick for 6A. So, Tyson Moody, Brentwood homer, picking his buddy. So, I nearly went with Nelson as well, though, so I can't really bully him much here.
Yeah. 3 votes for Deion Barnes, 2 for Caden Marable, 1 for Javion Kennard, 2 for Gavin Nelson, which means Deion Barnes will be our Sellers Funeral Homes Player of the Week for Week 3. Congratulations to Deion and the Cobras for taking that one down. On to our Line of the Week finalist for week number 3, also sponsored by Sellers Funeral Homes. BGA's offense had 569 yards, including 300 through the air. Gordonsville's defense held Trousdale County to 64 total yards, forced a couple of fumbles and recovered 1. NBA's defense held MUS to 75 total yards, including minus 26 yards rushing, and 2 of 13 on third down in their 31-0 shutout win. Mount Juliet's defense also pitched a shutout. They held Gallatin to 100 total yards and recovering 3 fumbles, also not allowing a first down on 10 attempts for the Green Wave. So 4 impressive totals. The fans have voted, and the fans are giving it to the Wildcats, 32.3% voting for BGA's offense. So congratulations to that unit for taking down Line of the Week for week number 3. So Deion Barnes gets our Player of the Week, and BGA's offense takes down Line of the Week honors. And a good time to talk about our fine sponsors at Sellers Funeral Homes.
Doing something nice for someone, what a great idea, and Judd Sellers, owner of the Sellers Funeral Home family, is doing just that. The Sellers Funeral Home family, made up of 8 different locations, is proud to sponsor high school athletics throughout the Middle Tennessee area, giving back to the communities that have been so kind to us. That's the Sellers way. Thank you, Middle Tennessee.
Big thank you to Sellers Funeral Homes, for sure. And if you know any of businesses that are looking to sponsor, have them get in touch with us. We've got plenty we can put their name on, and on this show as well. All right, we'll start talking week 4, which is going to get an early start to it tomorrow night, according to several teams that have moved their games up due to potential bad weather on Friday. The only issue is that the weather may beat them there. It's scheduled to come in tomorrow. So,
And it looks worse tomorrow, just from all the Futurecast radars that have been coming out. Nashville severe weather on Twitter's done a really good job showing that, and yeah, it just looks like tomorrow's going to be worse. And I think we've already seen like East Robertson and Sycamore go back. They moved their game back because they originally announced yesterday they're moving to Thursday, and then today, just a couple hours ago, they announced they were going back to Friday. So Friday may be the move, and here's to hoping, that we don't get any Saturday games because I want to watch college football.
Yeah, I think the teams that are going to try to play on Friday, I think they're more so banking on the severe side of it, the severe potential out of it anyway, would happen on Thursday into Friday, and then they would just be dealing with possibly some rain, but more importantly, really bad field conditions is pretty much what you're going to be dealing with on Friday if you decide to play on Friday. Whereas in Thursday, the teams that are trying to move up, they're trying to squeeze it in before it gets here. But there's a higher chance of severe weather when it first does get here. So it's kind of pick your poison, so to speak. So,
yeah.
We wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some games being moved to turf fields. So we've seen that in the past. It very well could come down to that on Saturdays or on Friday night, just because the potential for doing damage to long-term damage to a field is minimized.
Yep. And we see what East Robertson and Sycamore did going back to Friday. I will say this, by moving up to Thursday, at least it gives you an option to move back. It gives you some flexibility.
Right.
If you get information that says, hey, we probably should just go back to Friday.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad idea to make that move. But know that move's probably getting made if the forecast holds. So,
well, a lot of these games are big because they're the first week of region play. So,
yeah. For some it is. For some, it's the second week. So, region games, and you got to get them in. And if we're talking severe weather on Thursday, obviously lightning comes into play, and any delays are going to push them back to Friday anyway. And you've basically did it for nothing. You're playing on Friday to begin with. So I don't know.
Which could be huge when you can talk about the transportation costs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We continue to follow breaking news out of it.
Wow. Breaking news alert. Okay. Didn't know that. Here we go. Some of the games that we're going to pick here in just a bit. Let's talk Antioch Oakland for a second, because both teams are unbeaten. Antioch 3-0, Oakland 3-0. Now, Antioch hasn't been 3-0 in a while, and they're going to go into Oakland for a real test.
Yeah, it's a great test for that offense that's kind of flying high right now. I think they entered this game 1-2 last year, following losses to Lebanon and Nolensville. They got revenge against both those teams. Had no real issues last week against Cane Ridge. Andre Adams got this offense clicking. Their defense bounced back in a big way last week, taking care of business. So it's just a matter of, can you test Oakland? Because nobody else really does. Oakland's defense had a good bounce back last week as well against a pretty good Haywood team that puts up a ton of points on people out in West Tennessee. Secondary came to play, but that backfield with Craig Tutt and TT Hill is it's kind of deadly right now. Yeah,
I mean, when you look at what Antioch does offensively with Andre at quarterback, it's kind of are they as talented across the board as that Anna team out of Texas? Probably not. I mean, just being honest. But it's a similar scheme. You got a quarterback that can do both run and pass, which gave Oakland fit. So the big question for me is, this is going to be the biggest test so far this year for the Antioch defense. And I'm not sure if they're going to be up for it. Giving up 30 the first, giving up 29 and then 30 something the second week, and then having a good bounce back week last week against a lesser opponent. But yeah, that's the biggest test for me is can Antioch's defense do enough to give the offense more possessions to try to keep that thing close?
Well, there's a reason why the leaders of the Wolfpack always have the most scars, right? What you have now is you have a young challenger going up against a grizzled veteran program, and it'll be real interesting to see if they can push them off the hill and out of the pack.
That was deep, Scott.
Getting philosophical on us. We having a little foreshadowing here, Scott?
Yeah, I'm feeling very poetic tonight.
KJ, we'll bring you in for this next one. Beach at Portland. Now, Beach got a win over Riverdale last weekend in the monsoon. Now, a Portland team who has played pretty darn well in the first 3 weeks, and what's turned out to be a pretty key region game.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like this region is probably one of the toughest regions in the mid-state, honestly. Beach did struggle a lot last week. It took a trick play, but ultimately, I think the defense keeps them in these tough games. And they're playing a physical Portland team. We saw it week 1. They came out very physical. I think they'll give Beach a challenge, but I think it's going to be the Bucks' night.
Yeah, he ain't picking against Beach again.
No,
Look,
that was a one-time mistake, guys.
I agree. I agree with KJ. DK Williams is just an absolute stud on defense. He's leading leading his team in tackles, averages over a sack a game. He's really tough. It's going to be a challenge though. This Portland's three-headed monster running back is. These Portland Panthers are a new team than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, the most physical Portland team I've seen since the early 2000s. I'll just come out and say it. And that's saying something for a program that's been to the mountaintop back in the early 2000s. So, you got to like the way Portland's program's going. Beach, as we've said, their defense is good enough to win a lot of these games, but eventually they're going to have to find something offensively. They're going to have to find it. Now, if they want to compete with Page and South Bend in the postseason like we think they can, they got to find some offense.
Yep. Another game with a team that's kind of had an upstart beginning of the season, Lawson and Centennial. Thursday night, Lawson went to Stratford and dismantled the Spartans at their new field christening, and the Lightning may have something for Centennial this week.
Yeah, this is huge because we're talking about Page is kind of the runaway favorite to win that region, right? Well, who's after them? You would think it's Centennial just because of what happened last year, and they have a bunch of talent coming back, even though they did lose a lot of key guys. Nolensville is kind of under the radar right now. We're not really talking about them, but they're playing well. But Lawson looks to be in that mix. If they come out, even if they don't win, they have a good showing. They don't lose 35-0 like last year. They really test Centennial. It kind of proves that they belong in that playoff hunt.
Yeah, and I just want to say real quick, we talk about some of the better coaches in the mid-state, but is there a better region in the mid-state as far as coaches go? Charles Rathbone, Jamal Stewart, Paul Derrick.
Yeah.
Brian Lilly. That is a really, really good group of coaches there in that region, and it shows.
It's definitely stacked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, another one kind of to talk about real quick, Stewart's Creek at Rockvale. Rockvale has been in close games, has been on the wrong side of them a couple weeks. Stewart's Creek is off to a good start, and the Red Hawks are a team that I think people might want to take notice of.
Yeah. Jeremy Smith is a beast in the backfield, and he's really he's really the leader of that Red Hawk offense. And it's going to be interesting to see if Rockvale can turn around because they gave up 183 on the ground to Tullahoma. But in all honesty, I think this is a tough game. I think it's a tight game. I think Rockvale can stay with them and could beat them. But we'll get into that in a little bit later.
Then one more we'll discuss here real quickly, CPA and NBA.
Yeah, we were kind of texting about this yesterday when I was talking about because we wrote the top games piece, just kind of previewing each game. I mean, who's had a harder start to the season than these two teams? I mean, you could argue Pearl Cone, but CPA opened in the season at Brentwood Academy, then they host Pearl Cone, or then they go to Pearl Cone, and then they host Pope Prep last week, or Pope John Paul II. NBA, they get Pearl Cone to start the year, then they get Innsworth, then last week they go on the road to MUS and probably have their best win of the season so far, shutting the Owls out 31-0. So this is a really good test for CPA. This is a big test ahead of the game against BGA next week, because you win this game, it's hard to imagine them losing really any at all this year.
All right, we're waiting on KJ to get back so we can start this next segment, but we'll go ahead and we'll give one of the other guys the honors of doing this first. Time to make amends for some of our disastrous picks of last week, which there weren't many, but the ones we missed them pretty badly. Well, I know you all love this segment. You love hearing us eat crow. So that's kind of why I put a crow on that graphic.
Well done.
Yeah. Cam, I'm going to let you lead this segment off.
Yeah. Better week for all of us last week, but we still got some wrong. And as you said, Chris, the ones we got wrong, we got terribly wrong. Two teams that were struggling to start the year, Liberty Creek and Smith County. Both teams lost a lot, but I made the poor decision to choose what I thought at the time was the better team, and that was Smith County. But Mac Tuggle goes for 170 plus yards, kickoff return for a touchdown, an interception. So not only am I going to be apologizing to the Wolves, but I want to make this personal. Mac Tuggle, I'm sorry. Congratulations, great game, and look forward to seeing what the Wolves can do the rest of the season.
All right. Scott, I'm going to have you go next up.
Yeah, everybody gave me stuff last week about going, very lowbrow. So I'm going to bring a little culture to my apology this week. So listen up. Once upon a Friday, silly, I watched my Twitter from afar in Philly, on NFHS, my phone, and Samsung TV, desperate to keep up with every score. When suddenly I was affected, the outcome different than expected. I double-checked across the web, felt my weekly record ebb, and was the 42-20 revealing the final score? A team on X had boldly posted on a site which I myself had hosted, a group of athletes pointing to a scoreboard devoid of score. Only this, and nothing more. On Saturday, I had confirmed it. Apologized? I guess they'd earned it. Baffled, I settled for battle just to see how the Patriots they dismantled. Alas, there's nothing on NFHS save the final score. I heard the feat of Cooper White, how he'd scored 3 upon the night, 2 by land and 1 by sea. I combed the sites, at least stars are free. At Acme Grocery, I wandered through the produce, wondering if I should buy the orange juice. I thought I heard my iPhone cheering. At me, there was an old man leering, a cardboard eagle mascot sneering as I did my best to ignore. Apologize. I kept on hearing the Philly Eagles mascot, cardboard mascot nearing. For my own sanity, I was fearing the cardboard eyes of the bird were searing. Anything, I wondered, will my sanity restore? The eagle stared back. Nothing more. Away across the back aisle to dairy I went, trying to remember the 2%. Hurriedly I searched for bacon, wishing I was back in Macon, remembering the rock pile I had filmed just 53 weeks before. Determined now, I left the cart, grabbed the courage of my heart, and ran back to the chip aisle, where I saw the eagle moments before. I'm sorry, I cried before the bird, in a voice I hope Westmoreland heard, and as management and all observed, the eagle unmoving just glared back. poised to mock or to attack, I begged and now pleaded to retract my pick from Wednesday weeks before. I asked the manager as he pulled me from the floor, "Can I come back to do my shopping?" Quoth the manager, "Nevermore." I apologize, Westmoreland. Congratulations.
Can we just take a minute?
We can't touch him. I mean, I had something in store last week, and then I wound up getting soaked anyway. But yeah, it was. We can't touch him.
It's Matt. I give him that.
Wow.
I'll give him that. Even if it did go over the minute time limit, I don't care.
Did I go over the minute?
Oh,
Wow.
God.
I mean,
That was more of a short novel.
you kind of sailed past it like an
I
eagle.
timed that earlier.
Oh, no. You were. That's good.
It's all good. Now, Isaac had a pretty good one last week. What's he got in store for us now?
I'm sorry. To be honest, I was not familiar with your game at all. I didn't even know snakes could play football. So, looks, I'm gonna have to start apologizing to some snakes whenever I see them. So,
I'm an absolute idiot. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. And I doubted you.
Okay.
I feel like this is going to be a recurring theme. We're going to have a war back and forth between these two.
Well done, Isaac. Well done.
That was for White's Creek because it kind of cut off at the beginning. That was White's Creek.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Joe, you want to follow that up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep my basic. Had Mother Nature not tried to take me out last week with an allergic reaction that I got while I was working, I would have been at Lawson on Friday night or Thursday night. Sorry, and I would have been apologizing to Lightning. I had you guys losing. Major egg on all of our faces. I'm not sure any of us picked Lawson, so I'll throw the rest of the guys under the bus because that's who I am. Good on the Lightning. That's just a heck of a win. But I'm pulling a Cam here to see what Cam did last week with his apology and what he did with his pick. So, well done to the Lightning. And I just read a comment that hurt my soul. Good luck this week against Centennial. Tony, that was not needed.
Goodness, yeah, that's right. Dagger right in the heart, right as the apology ended. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, I don't think I can catch Scott or Isaac in their type of apologies, but I'm gonna try.
I love that. I love that, Chris.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
I don't know if I could have held it together if I tried to speak it into existence, but you saw the words. They're genuine.
And we felt them here and here.
Now, KJ's having some technical difficulties, but he does want to send his best to his alma mater because he was definitely wrong.
It's amazing how he had technical difficulties right before he had to apologize to Beach. I'm just saying.
Like convenient.
How convenient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So we got quite a lot of stuff going on around here, and Isaac's been a big part of that. And I want to give him a chance to show a little bit more of his talent. He's got some projects he's been working on called Love to Hate, a lot of rivalry type documentary style sequences, and he's got one that's coming out tonight, and let's show a little bit more about it.
golly, it was a game. You could X that game on the calendar. So, man, you better be ready when you step on the field here because you're going to get 100% every play.
Macon County always thinks that they're better than us. So, record don't say that.
Going into the game, you got to play a little harder. You got to be a little more focused, more intense. You know that they're capable of beating you on any play. So you got your hands full when you go to play them.
The rivalry dates back almost a whole 100 years of Charleston County football.
You can't match packing Pat Barker Field or Jim Satterfield Stadium on a Friday night when those teams are playing their best football. It's unmatched.
You can put the big brother, little brother on it, but both communities are going to tell you they're the big brother for sure. But the record-wise, ultimately it comes down to who's winning, right? Even with their little streak, I think the all-time series, we're still massively ahead. So
I think it's flipped now for sure. Macon's big brother right now. And anybody who says otherwise is mistaken because they just need to go look at the scores. That may flip again in the future, and then, we could say otherwise. But right now, you got to look at the results. Everybody, you can claim big brother when you get the job done. When you're getting it handed to you, you are absolutely little brother, and we've been on the wrong end of that for a long time.
Now you're on the right side.
For right now. Yeah. Always changes, though.
So excited for that.
Great feature by Isaac. I don't know what my hair was doing that day. It's why I wear a hat nowadays.
So I watched it earlier. I got to see the final cut. Ha ha ha. It looks really good. I mean, it's really good. My one critique to him was there's just way too much Cam. If there's more than 5 seconds of Cam in a project, it's got to be cut. It's enough. Cam. Also, if you watch it, you'll see. How many cousins do you have, Cam?
First or second?
All combined.
Combined, well over 100. Well over 100, and I would say that there's 95% of them went to Macon County High School. But I had bragging rights at most family reunions, so I was okay with that.
Okay.
Really good, though. I learned a lot about a rivalry I did not know a whole lot about, just because in the time that I've been down here, Macon County's been throttling Trousdale. So I didn't know it was a rivalry like that. So it's really informative, really good. Isaac worked his butt off. He's got another one coming out later this year. Yeah, I'm excited. We've already started talking about what ones we'll do for next year. So
Yep. Happy to have a hand in helping him get those done, and hope you all enjoy that later tonight. Also later tonight, once this show ends, our second episode of Climbing the Hill, the Green Hill documentary series, will be on our YouTube channel. We'll drop it just after we hit end on this stream, so stay tuned for that as well. Right now, let's make some picks. So you got it simply couldn't last for Tyson. He had the lead for a couple of weeks, but I think reality may be starting to set in just a bit.
Yeah, it always these young ones always start hot and then fizzle out like a firework.
Joe, I don't remember a week where we've had more success from an overall standpoint, 51-7.
I do. When I went 10-0 last year, I only had 5 total losses.
Okay, fine.
Joe with the receipt.
We may not have had 58 games that week, though.
No, we didn't.
Shut up. Unless you can. You're still behind. No one likes you.
We definitely didn't, and I'm not showing his face for that reason. Let's go through those top 10 and see what we did kind of get wrong last week. Not a ton of red, but most of us whiffed on Riverdale and Beach, although Cam and Isaac were on the right side of it.
I don't know that you can call a whiff on that.
Well, I mean, I would have still a whiff.
I would have liked to have seen those two teams play in nicer weather because I do think it would have been a great game. A great game.
I didn't take into account that Poseidon would show up.
I don't think any of us did. I really don't. but that's neither here nor there. So let's get into some picks here, shall we? While I swat some flies. First up, we got Antioch and Oakland, both 3-0 teams, but our picks, we're going with the Patriots across the board.
Yeah, I think Antioch's better. I just don't think they're 49 points better than what they were last year. And Oakland is still Oakland, even if DeJuan Morris isn't playing right now. TT Hill's back. He's looked really good. Craig Tutt's back. He's looked really good. And Kyler Creasy had a really great game passing the ball last week. So big test for the Antioch defense. The Patriots are just a different beast.
Yeah, we keep saying test. It's a good test. Well, Oakland is the test in 6A.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we're really going to find out what Antioch is here in the 24 season this Friday night.
And there are a few teams that have a schedule like Antioch in the non-region. I mean, they started off with Lebanon and Nolensville first 2 weeks on the road. And their home opener, they won it against Cane Ridge. They're at Oakland this week. They're at McGavock next week. They have 3 home games this year. 3.
I didn't realize that.
Now, they'll have Stewart's Creek on September 27th and then Laverne in week 11 on Halloween night to close that out. In between, then they've got trips to Mount Juliet, CPA, and Smyrna.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This will be a battle-tested team once the playoffs come around. And they're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, they've got to win over Cane Ridge. They just need one more to ensure it.
Yeah.
The way they're playing, they'll get that.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then, Oakland, going out to Texas and winning like they did, and then they've kind of reestablished themselves as maybe that number 1 team in our large class. And I'm curious to see how this plays out as far as Antioch, staying competitive and how long they can stay competitive. Because if they can for a little while, that's not a bad thing for them.
No.
Game number 2, Baylor at Lipscomb Academy. And although Lipscomb Academy is not playoff eligible, they can still mess some things up for teams.
Yeah, Baylor's just kind of a different beast. Lipscomb's not played an easy schedule, but Baylor, I don't think there's a team in the state as talented as this Baylor team. They got Division I prospects everywhere. Shakai Mills Knight might be the best running back in the entire state. There's a reason he's going to Ole Miss. They're just loaded. I mean, they are just loaded. And they're on a mission. After what happened last year in Chattanooga, they're on a mission. I think Lipscomb Academy finds a way to keep this game close for a bit, and then Baylor pulls away late.
Yeah, I think it ultimately is going to come down to I don't think Lipscomb has fully found an offensive idea, what they want to do offensively. Defensively, they got guys everywhere. I mean, you got CJ Jim Collie, you got Chris Thompson, you got Tony Carter, you got guys at every level, literally. But this Baylor team is so talented.
And I don't know if Tony is going to be back. He's been hurt the last couple of weeks. He got hurt week 1. If he's out, that's just
it's not good. But I will say this, and we talk about him all the time, and it's because he's probably the best